Hello, my friend, and welcome. This is your moment. I'm Katarina Miletic, and you are listening to the podcast that will challenge you to think with your soul and believe that your only power is inside you. Hello, dear friends, and welcome. As this podcast promotes a healthy lifestyle and mindset, it is so important to get this message across from as many different points of view and angles as we possibly can. It is my pleasure and honor to welcome tonight the lovely Melissa Russo as our guest for the latest episode of This Is Your Moment. Melissa, I am so thrilled that you are joining us today for this episode of the podcast. I would like you to take us back to the beginning of your brand, if you will. Live your radiant life. The name really says it all. And I would like you to elaborate a little bit on that if you can. It just speaks so strongly of your core values, I think.
Thank you so much. I have always been most passionate about helping other people live their best life, which looks different and feels different to everyone. Live your radiant life is an affirmation for myself to show up the best that I can in life. And that is really what I'm most passionate about helping other people do as well. I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, and what I showed to the world and offered to the world was always almost like facets of a gemstone. I had a nonprofit for kids and a television series for them. I taught yoga and did body work. I had a silly side to myself. I loved traveling and outdoor adventures, and all of those were very separate in my world. And coming up with the brand, Live Your Radiant Life, brought them all together. And it made me feel like I had something very whole to offer to the world. And a big part of that was learning the lessons that each one of us has such a story with so much value to share. And understanding that within myself was definitely a big part of this journey of branding. And I'm very excited to see your community of entrepreneurs and artists doing exactly the same thing. And it's just thrilling.
Absolutely. We live in such a lovely time now, I think, when people are just open to experimenting and creating. So many different brands now are booming, and people are showing their personality and showing their true faces, as you said. So as many sides of us that we can share with people, I think the better connections we make, the truer connections. I am curious, were you always health conscious? And what inspired you to go deeper into the subject of health and well-being?
I was always excited to help people be happier ever since I was a kid and a teenager. When I was in college, wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I wanted to work with people. And the college I went to didn't know what to do with me because I was interested in what they were calling alternative medicine at the time. So um, I did some traveling and studied under a homeopath. I was very curious about yoga, which really was just beginning in the late 90s, and studying the chakras. And I did a lot of independent studies. What was predominant, though, when I was in school was studying cortisol, the stress hormone, and what lowering cortisol did to the body and how we could do that. I was part of course, studies of petting dogs and spitting into cups and odd things like that every college student ends up doing for $5 gift cards for something. But I was extremely passionate to learn that 95% of our health was determined by our lifestyle, which had to do with stress management, with exercise, with eating well. I started meditating, and I loved sharing this with other people. So when I graduated from college, I became certified in a few different yoga traditions. I practiced some different forms of body work. And then a few years ago, all of that came together with getting involved with Young Living essential oils, because the one piece of the puzzle that I didn't realize was so important to lifestyle were environmental factors and reducing the amount of toxins in our households. I was eating well, I was eating mostly organic, I was meditating, but I was smearing these chemicals all over my body every day that I hadn't, or cleaning my house with things that I had no idea would impact my health. I assumed here in the States, if they were on the shelves, it was safe. In the EU, it's definitely different. You have a lot more banned chemicals there, but there's a lot of education around that here. So I added that to my repertoire, and I feel like it's a whole lifestyle of choices that I could offer to people, along with the yoga and the breathing and the exercise and the nutrition. I love it all. So that's been
So wonderful.
my journey, and it is continuing to evolve.
Yes, and it sounds to me like you were way ahead of the curve there, because when this modern wave came, and I think we all became conscious, and some of us, as you said, we were already doing these things, not we were not fully aware that they were like intermittent fasting or something. I only learned later in life that actually what I'm practicing is now coming into fashion and people are benefiting from it health wise, which is a wonderful thing, you know. So it's good that we are talking about these things. Um, can
It's so
you?
much more mainstream now.
Yeah,
Doing
yes.
yoga and eating organically, I was deemed as some odd hippie back in the day, but now
Yes. It was radical, but now it's more accepted. And yes, the world is definitely opening to that. I love it.
but
Um,
apparently even going to the gym in the 70s was radical.
yes.
Who
Yeah.
would lift weights or go to a gym?
Yeah, absolutely. People were always like holding a cigarette. It was like a symbol of you know, in magazines you could see it, or standing next to the sports car, or holding a drink in their hand and drinking and driving. Like that was like a completely normal thing. You go to countryside, get drunk, and then you drive back to London. I mean, oh gosh, I'm glad we moved away from that.
And we had angels all along the way keeping us safe as well.
For sure, for sure. I was just taking you back to the about talking more about the business side. What is the biggest challenge, and also the biggest surprise that came from your work?
Well, the biggest challenge is exactly the same as the biggest surprise. I meeting new people and networking, because now I'm working full time with a network marketing company. Meeting new people is the challenge. However, I don't know if you want to call it the law of attraction or magnetism. The
Mhm.
people that I meet because of this business that I would have most likely never met otherwise has been the biggest blessing. And it comes in the funniest ways, and you never know where a connection will lead. And it's so exciting. I have made some of my closest friends through this business, and become extremely connected with them in a way that I maybe wouldn't have otherwise. We travel together, we go to events together, we get to talk more often because it's a business, and we become part of each other's worlds, and it's incredible.
Yes, I have found that as well. No meeting is a coincidence ever. And so many new opportunities, and when we are open and run our own businesses, we can actually navigate towards working together on a maybe on one project, or sometimes it just leads to something that you didn't dream of few months before meeting someone. So it's really wonderful to keep all your options open like that. I love
And
the
there's a
point.
there's a collaboration aspect that happens often, that two people come together and the sum is so much greater
Yes,
than one plus one,
yes.
and letting ideas expand to something more than I could have ever dreamed with someone else. That co-creation process is so fun for me.
That is so lovely. So I am interested to learn, how do you continue to learn and grow, both as a human being and as an entrepreneur?
Personal development has always been something I've been extremely attracted to. Back in the day, Louise Hay was where my heart was, and now new teachers always come as I need them. I'm very involved with the Tony Robbins community and so grateful, not just for what he offers, but this community of people is incredible. And my personal growth definitely has an effect on what's happening in my business. Just like when I was teaching yoga, if I wasn't keeping up with my yoga practice, my teaching would be stale. Mm-hmm. So if I'm helping people live their most radiant life, I have to be practicing that within myself. So that's one reason I love the brand. It's an identity that keeps me accountable, and I'm grateful for it all.
Absolutely. I do love that community. I mean, surprise, surprise, that is where we met as well.
And they say, what is it, the law of the 5 people you spend the most time with?
Yes.
Spending time with this community has definitely raised my standards, and definitely kept me very positive through these uncertain times as well.
That's exactly, you led me to my next question. How much of your success and fulfillment can you attribute to the positive attitude and outlook in life?
I have to say 100%. I think it's all focus.
Yes.
You could have the most wealthy person on one hand who's miserable. They may seem to have it all and be so unhappy in their heart and soul. And you could have someone that's living on the street with nothing that is completely happy and fulfilled and loving and connected. So I'd like to think of something in the middle for me. But I'm extremely grateful. I remember when I was a kid, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to college, and they're like, "What are you going to do? You have to go to college." I said, "I don't care what I do. I know I would rather." I just named a service industry, a specific one. I'm like, I'd rather do that and just be happy. That's all that really matters to me. But I love. But part of my happiness is absolutely helping others as well. That service heart is definitely something that brings me so much joy.
Definitely. I think we are all uplifters, and to know that you can actually help someone on their way and on their journey, it helps you grow as well as a person, and it is so rewarding as well. It's fulfilling in so many ways. Yes.
And if I could give back to the people that have always been sent to me at just the right time, like if I could give back in a way that I have been given to by people helping me in my life and showing up at the right time, saying the right thing.
Yes.
I've had teachers all along my journey, and they continue to show up daily. So grateful.
That is so wonderful. You remind me of my parents when my kids were small, and I was just becoming aware of how much I owe to my parents, how much love and dedication and attention and how much time they have invested in me and my brother. So I was saying, how do I possibly pay you back? I was just, I was, the thankfulness was just pouring out of me. And my mom and dad said that that's not how it works. You don't have to pay us back, you don't have to thank us, but look forward to them, they were pointing at my kids playing there in front of us in the room, and they said, you just do your best for them, and that is how you pay us back. So I think our biggest teachers and mentors in life don't expect reward themselves, but they actually get a reward from us going forward and helping who we are meant to serve then. And then the world gets, bigger and better that way.
Beautiful.
What makes you stay curious about your work? And what is it that engages your audience the most about what you do?
I think it's my own personal journey.
Mm-hmm.
As I meet roadblocks and challenges, which some are harsher than others in the world, it makes me grow as a person and have more compassion
Mm-hmm.
for others in that way. And I think showing up with that authenticity is is what engages anyone that I connect with. But my challenges have been my deepest teachers. Many of them I would not wish on anyone else, but have made me into the person that I am today, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. So those words, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, they really are true, aren't they? Yes, I know. I've been there. I hear you. I happen to know that we share almost the identical respect for the soul nourishing time at the beginning of each day. In my own experience, I have noticed that I now safeguard this part of my day, really. And it makes me more productive. It makes me show up fully then in my day. So, and I know that the quality of my and the rest of my day and the productivity depends on how I start my day. So would you share please with us how do you tap into your best version each day? What is it that you
Absolutely.
do?
And my practices have changed over time. Um, but some form of meditation, some form of focus. Right now, I start with the minimal amount. Sometimes I have the hour of power for sure, but sometimes I just have 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And as long as I could start my day with, I've been doing the Tony Robbins priming as my minimum, and then adding my yoga practice or journaling to that if I have time. As long as I do that priming, and anyone could find it on YouTube if you just type in Tony Robbins Priming, it's something you could do in a few minutes, and it changes your body, it changes your physiology, and it helps you get energy and focus. Because if I can focus, I'll start the day with gratitude, then I'm attracting more. But also, I set 3 goals for what I want to accomplish or how I want to show up in the day. And that's like setting the sails, if anyone's a sailor, setting my course and going towards it. Because otherwise, if I don't do that, if I grab the phone, if I start looking at messages or texts, then I'm just being blown around by the wind and what the world wants from me. And it turns into a day of almost being on autopilot, and I almost miss the day. So in order for me to fully live and to fully be present, starting the day with that exercise that includes gratitude, that includes getting energy and moving into more of a peak state, but I also focus on at least 3 things I want to accomplish, or even just an attitude that I want to have through the day and energy. Then I find that as I go through the day.
Mhm.
And I invite the world to unfold for me in a way where I'm ready to receive its gifts. And um, some of you may know, and some of you may not, that I sold my house officially, and I've been traveling full time for the past 2 years as a surrender experiment in a little camper of letting life unfold for me. And I have had my faith restored in humanity. I have met the most incredible people I wouldn't have met otherwise. And whenever I need a little helping hand, it shows up, and the most incredible gifts show up. And if you want to call them synchronicities or coincidences, whatever you want to call it, but setting the stage so I'm open and ready to see that, inviting the world to surprise me, is definitely something I like to do at the beginning of the day as well.
Oh, that is beautiful, and yes, it's so aligned with what I do, with what I believe. And when we set this intention at the beginning of the day, when we bring our awareness to our own gratitude, when we send this forward into the world and to other people, it just sets you on the right path. I think perhaps we should as well as linking your group, because I think people really ought to follow you and hear what you say and what you share in your group so lovingly. For everyone. I will for sure link that in the description, but I think perhaps we should put Tony Robbins' Priming, because it has helped me as well. For 6 months, I did it consistently until I developed then my own routine and moved on from it, but definitely helped me where I was for 8 years previously, neglecting this part of me, the soul nourishing work. So then when I returned to it, it was absolutely beautiful. My guests always respond positively to the last question that I have prepared, and I always ask them something quirky and different. So I have one for you, and here it comes. How did 2020 impact you? And I will tell you afterwards why I'm asking, obviously.
As you ask that, I just got tingles right up my spine. It's still impacting me. It has, and I know it has not been this way for everyone. So part of me is hesitant to share, but it has been an absolute gift. I have realized first and foremost for myself that people are more important than place to me. The relationships that I have are even more cherished in my heart. And I have gotten the opportunity to deepen those relationships with everything going on. And over the past year, it has been almost exactly a year. Before this, I had this belief system of no company is better than bad company. And I kind of lived my life that way. I was a little bit of a loner. I didn't really like asking for help, and I've always traveled solo. And over the past year, my new belief system is no company is better than bad company, but good company is better than no company. And that's a game changer. I have really, really witnessed incredible relationships as well. In my world, and I'm just very grateful for all of that. And then also in 2020, because my gift has always been showing up with people one-on-one, usually, and meeting people in person and making a connection. Because we've all moved online, it has it has brought me the gift of connecting with people I never would have connected with otherwise, such as yourself, because we're online now. And now the whole world is at our fingertips in that way. And maybe it's been like that for other people a lot sooner than this, but for me, it has been a very interesting time to connect, even with family and friends that I have. All of a sudden, we're Zooming, even though we're thousands of miles away, but meeting new people and forming a deeper community and network is something that's happening right now. And I'm thrilled to be a part of it. I'm thrilled to be part of this podcast and to meet you and everyone who's listening. I look forward to connecting. It's magic.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Bless you. I mean, I so appreciate you and appreciate your time and the message that you shared here. I don't know how I knew I should ask that last question, but that is the one that was absolutely crystal clear in my head, and I'm so grateful for your answer. I am so grateful that you had that experience and that you were able to share it with us, because it just absolutely underlines the message that for me 2020 has. Inevitable will always happen in all of our lives, and it isn't here to break us. It is here to make us think there is more to life, to make us become more open to these experiences, to making connections such as this. tonight or today in your case, we have brought England and California like side by side. It just there is no separation. I don't feel any separation, and I am so grateful to have had you as a guest here, and I hope it's not the last time as well. I hope you'll join us soon again. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so
Melissa.
much for having me. This has been such a pleasure, and thank you for all that you do.
The pleasure is mine. We'll talk soon.